So I put in this one.
Everyone have his destiny help, and me, Marwa is the one.
3, 2, 1, go!
Always team Marwa. I will be grateful, because if could not be Marwa, nobody could know Mayuguno. So if could not be him, nobody could know Mayuguno. When I start my YouTube journey, nobody was knowing me. I didn't speak good English like that. But me with Marwa, we are family like this. For me, I can say that. I don't say Marwa is God to me, but the only thing I can say, he's a representative. He's someone who God can use to reveal something from you.
I didn't see that coming. Mayuguno in the party, in the grand opening of that bridge, I didn't see it coming. So am I happy on my side? I am happy. I am happy. See, we are used to a situation where the stories we gravitate towards are the ones that people are just breaking up. Like people are just like Marwa is not in good terms with the Gitiriba, Marwa is not in good terms with Mayuguno, Marwa is not in good terms with finding Yan, Marwa is not in good terms with everybody else. Those are the stories that we hear online. Sometimes it's good that we celebrate that our people are getting united. It's not all the time that we sit down and we see our brothers and our sisters are fighting and we just sit down and celebrate. There are those moments where we look at our brothers and we consider the history. Because when you think about a person like I am Marwa and I am Mayuguno, it's Nasto, finding me, and these are people who've known each other for the last like 5 years. And you won't tell us, or you won't tell me that I ought to sit down here and celebrate when these guys are disintegrating. That is not the kind of person I am. That's not the kind of commentary I want to make here. So apparently, there was a party. Not even apparently, realistically speaking, there was a party. And that party involved the grand opening of a bridge. But that was not just the story. The story is there was a lady, one of the most influential ladies in Africa, not just East Africa. See, I did some research and I was looking at the YouTuber with the most, so the female African YouTuber with the most subscriptions. And the ones I got, I think we have a South African artist, this lady who sang this song, Chanel, and Rain. I don't know. She's South African, Tyler. She's called Tyler. And then we have, is it IR Star from Nigeria? And I think another lady from Nigeria. And we also have another lady from, I don't know whether it's Uganda or Tanzania. Zuchu from Tanzania or something like that. But those are just artists. But when we talk about content creators, you see, all of them are content creators. As long as you have a YouTube channel, YouTube regards you as a content creator. So we have someone like Lynn Ngugi. Lynn Ngugi is a very big YouTuber. She's a very huge content creator here in Kenya, and not just in Kenya, but in the whole of Africa. She's one of the biggest, huge, massive influences. But her influence is majorly here in Kenya. So some people might have their own rebuttals about me saying she's the best or she's the biggest here in Africa. But I don't really care, I don't. My point is, she was coming and she actually interviewed Mayuguno. I'll be very much interested to see that interview. But she couldn't have interviewed Mayuguno were it not for I am Marwa. Remember, for the last 6 months, you remember the scandal between I am Marwa and Mayuguno and Nico Buddha, the one that involved a land that his sister wanted to buy. So majority of the people wouldn't have expected like Mayuguno is going to be part of that, and I'm going to pause because I need to charge this. So the question I want to ask is, why is it that I am Mayuguno? Remember, of the three guys that I'm going to discuss here, we have Finding Ian, we have I Am Mayuguno, and we have It's Nasto. How comes Gitiriba was not invited? And how comes Mayuguno comes back to the villa after 6 months? Which makes me think that Mayuguno, maybe he was told, fine, I hear your side of the story and I understand what you're saying, but still, I'll give you 6 months expulsion. You are not supposed to be here. And what makes me believe that maybe that could have been an expulsion is because we know Mayuguno's sister. Mayuguno's sister has always been coming. She has always been welcomed to the villa. Marwa has never had issues with Mayuguno's sister, ever. She's always welcome to the villa. I mean, there's so many videos that we've watched of her going to the villa and having some video shots and all those things. Why is it that Mayuguno was invited? Why is it that It's Nasto was invited? Why is it that this other guy, Finding Ian, even though he had been given an expulsion for 3 weeks, he was still invited? And they are being invited when a big star like Lin Gugi is coming to do an interview there. Why? Now, this is my theories, these are my theories, this is my reasoning, these are my thoughts. And perhaps you too can sit down and reason with me as I make my commentary. And I don't have to overstrain on this one. We're just going to have a very candid conversation, a good vibe. I mean, I'm in a vest, which means I want to relax. I don't want to overexhaust my brain trying to explain things for the sake of views. I don't mind the number of views. I just want us to have a conversation where we can see if we are reasoning together or we are not. And I welcome any disagreement. Let's look at the first claim here. When you think about Nyabohanse in general, it has a story. Nyabohanse as a village has a story, and its story starts with I Am Marwa. But again, when this story starts with I Am Marwa, it has spread. It has spread its roots. See, this tree, this seed that is I Am Marwa, has spread its roots. Now, some of the roots you can think about are these three guys: I Am Mayuguno, It's Nasto, and Finding Ian. Now, why is it important that they were included in that interview by Lin Gugi? Because and Gitiriba was not included, because for the time they have interacted with I Am Marwa has seen growth in them, but hasn't seen growth that he expects to see in someone like Gitiriba. Because Gitiriba has known I Am Marwa for the last how many years? 5+ years. But when you look at the level of achievement, when you think about his achievements, there's nothing much to show for it. As an individual, yes, the only thing you can say he has grown into is his YouTube channel. You can say at least he has got about 14k subscribers. But when you think about life in general, like he doesn't have a car, he sold his motorbike, he doesn't have a big house, which is one of the things that marks success in that village. He doesn't have a car either. But again, come back to Finding Ian. Finding Ian, if you go through, well, I did do some research on his YouTube channel. I don't know where his videos that he used to do when he was building his house. I don't know what happened. I no longer see those videos in his YouTube channel. But when you think about Finding Ian, he has a house. He has built a house. A very beautiful house, by the way. Finding Ian has a very beautiful house. Don't get it twisted. And then we have It's Nasto. It's Nasto has already built his first house, which also looks very appealing to global standards, by the way. That house is very appealing. And then we have Mayuguno. Mayuguno has built 2 houses and is currently building his that house. Itnasto is currently building his bungalow. Very big, very huge. Built within American standards based on what they say. Same thing with this Mayuguno. He's dreaming big and he's doing something on that structure. But then when you think about Gitiriba, if a very big influencer like Lynn Gogi has come in that village, if she were to interview Gitiriba, what does Gitiriba have? What does Gitiriba have? You see, Marwa is riding on a success story. Marwa has deliberately developed Nyabohanse as a home for a success story. In any case, you guys, I'm going to give you a challenge. I will give you a challenge. I will effing give you a challenge. If you think I'm effing up, now that you're watching, I believe you've got some bundles or you have got airtime or you got Wi-Fi. Google the most popular village in Africa. Google the most popular village in Africa. Give me the feedback. I won't say much. Give me the feedback. I need to know. Top 10. Top 10. If you don't find Nyabohanse, I'm no longer doing YouTube. I'm quitting. I will quit. If Nyabohanse is not top 5 or top 10, I'm quitting. So, Marwa has brought Nyabohanse on the map. And so there's no way you're not going to give him the credit he deserves. So when he thinks about these three brothers and he compares them to Gitiriba, he realizes that these three brothers, courtesy of my influence, they have done something for themselves. They've grinded. They have really been working so hard. Why do you think, despite Marwa saying that Ian is lazy, he still finds that this guy, there's something about him? Because, you see, with Marwa, we have Daniel the manager. Daniel is the one who manages Marwa. But apart from him managing Marwa, there are people we call creative directors. If you think about things like fashion, in the fashion world, we'll have a person who is in charge of creativity, like, design in the fashion world. When you think about companies like Gucci, when you think about all those rich, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, is there a company like Fendi? Yeah, these companies, these big influential companies, Laurent, it's something like that. Laurent, these luxurious brands, they have a creative director. There's someone who is in charge of creativity, and that person ensures that they release their fashion brands, they are as per to what they feel is needed by the target audience. Because with the luxury brands, they don't necessarily target the mass media the mass consumers, not mass media. They don't target the mass media, the mass consumer. They don't target a large group of people. They target a specific niche. So the creative manager, the one in charge of creativity, focuses on that. So when we have Ian, when Ian came back to the villa, Ian is creative. He has a smart brain. You might not see it directly, but he has a smart brain. He will sit down, look at the whole of that place, and he comes up with ideas. He communicates those ideas to Marwa, and all Marwa has to do is implement those ideas. And that's why Marwa said Ian has a place in Villa Medellin. Because sometimes some of these ideas, like this sundowner thing, this thing in the farm, where the wine and dine thing. And so far we have had several guests. The first guest, the one who broke, the one who started the wine and dine thing, is Congrats Mom during Mother's Day. So then we have had several guests come wine and dine in that place. They've had their cheers and all things. Finding Ian. Then we have heard about the podcast thing, because apparently one of the things that Marwa is thinking about doing is a podcast. And as far as I'm concerned, there's a room dedicated to podcasting in his home. We don't know when he's going to start that project, but the person behind the scenes is Finding Ian. He's the one. They have instruments. They've got those microphones already. The room is already being prepared. The person who is behind that is Finding Ian. Now, Finding Ian has also been very vital. Like, Marwa wants the champagne to be ferried, the setting up of that table, and everything. Again, Marwa is already blowing in Facebook and Instagram. The one area he has really dominated for a very long time is YouTube. But since Ian came, all of a sudden, Marwa has started booming in Instagram and in Facebook. He's having a huge viewership in Instagram and in Facebook. Because when you have somebody like Ian, and mark you, Ian has a degree, I believe, in mass and communication or something like that. That's what he studied in campus. But Finding Ian is a graduate. So this is not just a typical village boy. This is a graduate. This is a guy who understands one or two, three things. This is a guy who has some level of exposure, especially when you're talking about education. He has some level of exposure. So he is a vital resource in that place. Physically, he might not add value to that place, but as a creative individual, there's something he adds. Are we together? So Finding Ian is not just a regular wannabe content creator who has come to milk from Marwa. And of course, he's milking as well. He's making content as well. But at the same time, when you think about content creation in general, there are people who are making money from Facebook. There are people who are making money from Instagram. And that's what Finding Ian is doing behind the scenes. He wants to make sure that by the time he's leaving, he benefits and his boss benefits as well. You have had so many times. You remember when the Japanese lady had come and Marwa wanted someone to take some video, a very clear video. The person he called from the multitude is Finding Ian. And let's be honest, I've seen a comment. There's a comment I saw from somebody else's YouTube channel, and they were like, Finding Ian is not a good friend. Do you think Marwa is stupid enough to claim that from tomorrow Finding Ian is not going to be found in this compound, and then all of a sudden he invites Finding Ian back to the compound? Do you think he would be that stupid? It's a question you got to ask yourself too, and perhaps answer yourself. I don't think he would be so stupid. So Finding Ian is playing a very significant role. Again, Finding Ian, what was this incident? There's a time, there are these guys, the Bujabi kids. There's a guy called who does painting, very good paints. This guy with dreadlocks, and he loves vintage. He has a vintage speaker. What we call this guy? Eddie the artist, Bujabi kid, something like that. Eddie the artist. So when Eddie the artist was presenting his gift, the painting, a very good painting of the horse, and when he was presenting that, again, Marwa had to Finding Ian. He was found to come and take a very good video of that gift. So finding Ian has a role that's very vital. Ayamara has already seen the impact of having finding Ian in the villa, because at the end of the day, there's a video I did earlier on, and I said that Marwa ought to see himself as a platform. And as a platform, if you are coming through the gate, let it be an exchange of value versus value. Provide me value as I provide you value. Don't just come and take away from me and you're not putting in me. Because apparently he's only pouring into other people's cups, but who is pouring into his cup? So those are some of the aspects I need you to think about. And I need you to understand, why is it that finding Ian, he might not be featured a lot. You might see him looking shagala bagla in that villa. But when you start thinking deeply about it, you start understanding what value he's bringing. And do you think, this is the question, you might not agree, but if Ayamaro has accepted him and finds like finding Ian has got a lot of value in that villa, who are you to judge? If he has found like finding Ian is founded in the villa, who are we to say otherwise? At the end of the day, that's his home, that's his thing. So when it comes to finding Ian, again, I said last time, they have a very strong bond. Finding Ian is a guy who was in the villa in the past. This is not the first time he has been in the villa. He was in the villa in the past, which means this is a guy he's really created a very strong bond with. Now, breaking a very strong bond that has been created in the past is quite a challenge. It's a very daunting challenge. You don't just make friendship with people and then all of a sudden break those friendships. Sometimes there are people, when you start losing them, it becomes a little bit difficult. It becomes a little bit more difficult. There are guys, by the way, there are guys you really don't want to lose. There are guys you really don't want to lose. And finding Ian is one of those guys that when you start thinking about them, you realize that they have a place in Ayamaro's villa, and that is because there's a certain value they add. And I'm not trying to say like Ayamaro wouldn't really blow up without finding Ian when it comes to Facebook and Instagram. But this is the thing, and this is where the white people, the Chinese, or other cultures, this is where they really make it in life, and it seems like they're doing way better than us because they believe in community. They believe in not really community. They don't believe in community per se, but they believe in partnership. They believe in partnerships. You know, like even Jesus, when he thinks about the church, he only regards himself as the head. And then there's another person who is the mouthpiece. Another person is the hands. Another person is the legs, eyes. Jesus only regards to himself as the head. That's what I need you to understand about this message. So Marwa is looking at himself as the head. And then Ian has a role to play. That role is not physical. It's not physical. It's when it comes to creativity and all those other things. When you think about his role in, let's just call him a creative director. Let's just say that Finding Ian is the creative director in Villa Magellan currently. And so far so good. When it comes to organizing all those things, he's doing a perfect job. Those guys are just, with cheers. The presentation is dope. And the only way you can understand that the presentation is dope, you need to watch the Instagram Reels. You need to watch those videos that they post on Instagram. That's the only way you can appreciate the effort that is being put by this young man. Let's move on to the next guy. We have Itmasto. Let me just discuss Itmasto. And by the way, remember I said Ian is a graduate. Marwa is a graduate. So Marwa is also very keen about the quality of the people he's moving out with. He's also, show me your friends and I'll tell you your character. Show me your friends and I'll tell you your character. The way a graduate will think is different from the way a villager will think. And this is why I'm bringing in its Nasto, because I'll also be comparing its Nasto and Mayuguno. So Finding Ian is a graduate. Marwa is a graduate. So in one way or the other, they kinda resonate with each other. These are guys from very humble beginnings. When they sit down, they start talking about their campus days, how they struggled. They wouldn't find girls because they are broken. They looked skinny. They didn't look good. Their skin was rough. They looked malnutrition. Is it malnutrition or mal? When there's no nutrition, I mean, your body looks like mine, kinda. Not really, but kinda. When you're broke, kinda. Okay, so if Finding Ian and Ayamaro are having a banter, and they start talking about their campus days because they've had similar experiences, they understand each other. So this is a guy, you know for sure, if I'm talking about this story, they understand because they've gone through the same thing. These are guys, one started this course and the other started this course. And remember, guys, I'll still talk about this now still. There's a time Marwa and Finding Ian were fixing these things for studio, for their podcast. And Marwa is like, hey bro, you seem like a guy who is very good, who is tech savvy. And having a guy who is tech savvy is a very good thing. Finding Ian may not have gone to school to do IT, computer engineering, computer science, and all those things, but he's computer savvy, he's tech savvy. And when you're talking to a guy who is tech savvy, it's an advantage to you because if your GoPro has a problem, this is a guy who can easily fix your things. If your laptop has a problem, this is a guy who can easily fix that. If there's an app or an application or a software that has a problem, this is a guy who can easily fix this thing up. So you don't necessarily need to be calling people, professionals to come. There's nothing wrong with calling professionals, but again, there are those needs that require a quick fix, and Finding Ian is there. All this information I'm giving you is publicly available. I'm just trying to echo what was said by one Marwa, and again trying to add some analysis, some bits of my opinion in there. Now, let's go on to the other guy. It's Nasto. So let's go through it's Nasto's profile. Who is It's Nasto? First of all, It's Nasto is one of the guys who never betrayed Marwa. Directly, he's never betrayed Marwa. These are guys who started when Marwa was blowing up, or when Marwa had already blown up. It's Nasto is one of the guys who was defending Marwa really, really strongly. This is one of the guys who have stayed with Marwa for the longest. He's been loyal to Marwa. He's never crisscrossed him. And he's a smart guy, you can tell that. You can also tell he doesn't really agree with Marwa on some things, but he understands, like, without Marwa, he could not be where he is right now as we are speaking. Without Marwa, his wife, Miss Play, could not be where she is right now. So and you see, on the social media streets, people will claim that he's licking Marwa's nyash. But again, there's a question. Do you know how much time it will take you to build the kind of a house It's Nasto is building? Do you know how long it will take you to even buy a car? Apparently, they have a car, a Mazda 3. No, not Mazda 3, Mazda 2. It's called Mazda Demio. It's also called Mazda 2. They already have another house. So let's go through It's Nasto's profile. A young man from Nyabohanse, similar background to I am Marwa, almost the same. Maybe not the same, but almost the same. Uh, he's a graduate, and as a graduate, what was his first job? He was working at a matatu industry. Now, if you're working at a circle, the amount of money you're making per month, uh-uh, nah, uh, no mention. So that's Ithnasto. The amount of money he was making from the job he used to do previously is not something you would really go for. So they link up with Ayamarwa and his life starts to change. But Ithnasto has been through university. He's an educated guy. He understands life. There's something similar about him and Ayamaro. Both of them have been through the system. Even when you listen to Ithnasto speak, you can tell he's clear. His words are clear. He's very fluent. You can tell this is a guy who has been to school. The way he reasons, the way he does his things, he's very, very organized. When you think about Ithnasto's home, it's one of the most organized homes in Nyabohanse, if not the best. It's very, very organized. He has a plan. The way he does his things, there's a systematic plan. He doesn't rush into things. There's a very systematic plan. So Mara looks at this guy. First of all, he's loyal. He's never betrayed me. Anytime I need him, he shows up. When he's sent by somebody, he comes and delivers the information. He has succeeded in one way or the other. But even through his success, he's not big-headed. He's still humble. He appreciates that it's Ayamarwa who has made him to be who he is. And of course, a lot of people will say, like, it's God. Yes, it's God through another person. In other words, Ayamarwa was the link, was the bridge that helped its master to cross from one side to the other. And as we speak about the bridge, that is a nice bridge that Ayamarwa built. So these are the people we call destiny helpers or destiny connectors. So by the way, you guys don't mind about the quality of this video. It might not be that clear. It's one of the things I'm struggling with, but it is what it is. When it comes to content creation, the most important thing to have is, first of all, make sure your audio is clear and that you and your audience can get each other. Anyways, let me go back to what I was talking about here. We are talking about Ithnasto and his profile. So this is a guy who has been to university, right? I already lost my trail of thought. Hopefully I'm going to find it anyways. So he's not big-headed. He has achieved a lot, but he still realizes that Ayamarwa is his destiny connector. There are those people who will just hold your hand. There's something in you. You have a seed of success, but it's a little bit more difficult to achieve whatever you want to achieve because you don't have that connection. You don't have somebody to help you to meet A. You are A. You don't have a B to help you connect with C and your dream changes. Like Ayamaro, his life was changed by YouTube. But right now, we have people who are already changing his life. Like the partner Ben. We have other people like Papa Norris and other very big people. They are helping him to achieve his destiny, to achieve his dreams in life. So when you think about a person like Ithnasto, Ayamaro was his destiny connector. And today, he recognizes that. He appreciates that without you, Ayamaro, I couldn't be where I am. And like other guys, once they start becoming very successful, they forget where they came from. They only remember where they came from when things don't work out for them. So they have to go back to Marwa to try and see if there's something they can do so that he can help them in one or the other. Its master is not one of them. Its master recognizes that I wouldn't have made it so far without Marwa. He never did betray Marwa. And you guys remember, even when it was said that the guy who may have bought land against Marwa's wishes, its master, the social media space, they called him a snake. Still, people will call him a snake. They kind of find its master being a little bit more dodgy in one or the other. They call him a snake. And you guys may have heard that. Or if you may have not heard that, then, well, I'm telling it to you. But all along, its master hasn't been that snake. He hasn't been that snake. He has been loyal to his guy throughout. So there's a reason as to why Marwa looks at all these guys and realizes that if there's another guy that I can invite, it's Nasto. Now let's look at the other side of the story. So if Lil Gugi, a very big influencer, has come to Nyabohanse and she has come to understand Nyabohanse in general, who would you present as a representative or as a representative of Nyabohanse apart from himself? So Marwa looks around and realizes that there's a guy by the name It's Nasto. The way It's Nasto has already packaged himself, he's not an embarrassment to that community. He's one of the persons you'd look up to. He's one of the persons you'd look and say, well, he qualifies. He needs, this is a guy you're looking and saying, yes, this guy can be interviewed. Because at the end of the day, the one person who will approve who can be interviewed and who cannot be interviewed by my guest is Marwa. And he looks at It's Nasto. It's Nasto will not embarrass me. Because at the end of the day, this is a very big influencer by the name Lil Gugi, and she has an audience, a serious audience that doesn't entertain stupidity. And with that in mind, I also need to ensure that the quality of the people I'm producing, or the quality of the people that are going to represent Nyabohanse, are people who have verified. You see, even YouTube verifies you. There's a reason as to why YouTube gives you a silver plate. What do you call it? Is it a silver plate? There's a silver button, right? There's a reason. Because they are telling you, you have now qualified for this. You've worked so hard. You deserve a medal. So Marwa looks at who are the hardworking guys that can be interviewed by Lil Gugi. And It's Nasto turns out to be one of them. Because of the way he has packaged himself. Remember guys, I'm trying to analyze the reason as to why Marwa would prefer to have It's Nasto, Finding Ian, Mayuguno, and not Gitiriba. Now compare the profile of It's Nasto and the profile of Gitiriba. First of all, intellectually, you realize that there's a very huge intellectual gap between the two. Intellectually, in terms of reasoning, I mean, It's Nasto is someone who can honestly recommend something to Marwa, and Marwa is going to listen. It's Nasto has got dogs. He knows something about dogs. He can come and say something, and Marwa is going to listen. These are people who behind the scenes Marwa will listen to. It's Nasto and Marwa have been through university. They understand the struggle of a student. They understand the struggle of being in the university. You can't even have a girlfriend. You don't have money. You look skinny. I mean, you might be so good in badminton, but you're broke, you're a brokey. So these are guys who understand each other intellectually. And trust you me, there's nothing as beautiful as having somebody you are at par intellectually. Like you can sit down, look at a situation, make analysis, have you can be emotional at a story, but at the same time you can be logical. So it's Nasto and Ayamaru when they sit down. These are guys who can sit down and discuss topics, discuss projects, discuss the future. These are guys who are headed somewhere. It's Nasto is a family man. It's Nasto has managed to have his family intact. He has something he can say. There's something about him that is admirable to the public. There's something about him that is admirable to Lingugi's audience. So Ayamara is seated and thinking about these guys. And he finds somebody like it's Nasto is good for me. Someone like it's Nasto is not going to struggle to elaborate and explain the history of Nyabuhanse, the current state of Nyabuhanse, and the future state of Nyabuhanse. This is a guy who is very eloquent because, again, Lingugi's audience are not just there to be entertained. They are also coming there for value. These are not people who are just watching for the sake of watching. They are also there to find value. There's no way someone is spending 1 hour watching nonsense. Can they learn something? Is there a lesson for them to learn? And so when Ayamara looks at the potential people for that interview, he finds it's Nasto is a good candidate for that. Are we getting along here? I hope and I believe we should. Alright? So that's another reason. So let's think about our last candidates or the other person that was invited in that pie. So we have Mayuguno. Honestly, there are certain friends, there are certain people, when you start thinking about your friendship with them, you can't imagine that friendship can break up. The bond between Marwa and Mayuguno is way too strong. These are guys who've loved each other for the longest time. He has been that, when Marwa looks at the villa, Mayuguno was his top mason. These are guys they have built together. These are guys they have been through thick and thin. They've worked together, they've shared dreams. And the reason as to why I think Mayuguno was also presented as a very good representative of that village is because this is not just a story of graduates. This is also a story of people who had nothing. Their dreams would have been shattered, came from nothing, but something changed their life. You see, for such an interview to be successful, it has to cover all sides. We have graduates on this side, and one of the graduates is from this community. The other graduate is from Nyahuru, a very different community. And by the way, Mayuguno is not even. Mayuguno is, I think he's Luo. I've heard him speak Luo a lot of times. I also think he's Tanzanian and a Luo, but lives in Nyabohanse. Nyabohanse is predominantly Korea. That's a Korean community. Now, for those of you who don't understand what I mean by Korea, we have about 47 ethnic groups in Kenya. So, and all these people come from different parts of the country. So Nyabohanse is one of the smallest communities, but Korea is one of the smallest ethnic groups in Kenya. It's one of the marginalized groups as well in Kenya. The quality of this video is going to be not so pleasing, but I hope my audio is clear, and I hope my analysis is also very clear. So, for that interview to be as authentic, they also needed something different. And the only person who could offer something different in this case is Mayuguno. Again, Mayuguno understands Marwa so deep. This is a guy who was involved in the project, like I said. This is a person who understands and knows Marwa deeply. So, this is a person who could be very, very informative. Is it informative? Who could offer vital information about Nyabohanse or about Marwa. And that is this guy. Alright, let's go directly to the point. So who is Mayuguno? Naturally, that guy is very funny, and especially when he's just being himself. And that's why it was very easy for Marwa to pick him up and be one of the representatives of that village in Lengogi's interview. So he's very vibrant, and he's a perfect fit for the other group of people. So without much stories, let me go directly to his profile. So when you think about Nyabohanse, Mayuguno has how many houses? How many houses has he already built as we are speaking right now? He has already built 2 houses, and is currently building the third house. He's already done his 30%. He's done 30% so far. Because once he's done with the final floor, and then he puts something small up there, I think he'll be building. He'll start now doing the partitioning walling, and then he'll start doing his finishing. So I would actually say it's 40% done. The remaining is the 60%, and so far so good. So what else does Mayuguno have? So Mayuguno is driving a Range Rover. Well, is a car a sign of success in Kenya? Yes. And a Range Rover, as much as it's a second-hand Range Rover, knowing where Mayuguno has come from, and knowing naturally that Mayuguno is I wouldn't really call him a wannabe musician, but I would still not call him a top-tier kind of an artist. So he's doing something good for himself in music. I mean, he's trying. Him and Rocio, music. But he's a top mason. If you think about how much a top mason earns here in Nyabohanse, and compare, or even globally, you don't really expect that a top mason would buy a car of that type. So it has taken Marwa's intervention to help someone like Mayuguno to be where he is. And when Marwa looks at Mayuguno, he says that's his actually. You may have heard Marwa say Mayuguno is his firstborn. And when he talks about Mayuguno being his firstborn, he's talking about YouTubing. Like the first person he introduced to YouTube, and it's a success story. You think, and not family, because again, he started by his family. We have Dimwango tripping down to David Jr., but again, after David Jr., he goes directly to Mayuguno. So when he calls Mayuguno the firstborn, his firstborn, he means like this is the first guy I introduced to, this is the first guy I held his hands on the YouTube space, and he has been shining ever since that day. He has not disappointed him. So that's another thing. When you look at Mayuguno's story, Mayuguno is a guy who's been grinding. He's been uploading videos every single day. Whereas, if you compare Mayuguno to Gitiriba, there are those moments, there are those days he feels lazy, he doesn't want to upload videos. Well, we might excuse him for not having all the equipment needed for him to be uploading videos daily. Like, he doesn't have. I don't know whether he has a laptop or not. But again, you see, with a GoPro, you have to eject the SD card. Again, you have to come edit those videos and then upload them. I don't know if Gitiriba has got Wi-Fi in his home. I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm not trying to make an excuse for him. But again, when you think about the hard work level, someone like Mayuguno has been uploading videos daily. As much as they don't really garner a lot of views per se, the views they get, those are not really views that will build a house. Everything Mayuguno has a hub by donors. Donors have also contributed to what Mayuguno is having. But that's not even the point. My point is, this is a guy who was given a platform, but he has taken advantage of that platform and is making something good out of himself. So when I am Marwa is thinking about the people he might bring in for an interview with the Lingugi, he thinks about his brother, Young Mayuguno. And Mayuguno is a perfect story. He fits in the narrative. Remember again, this is a village setup. Lingugi is doing a new series. So initially, she was doing more like podcasts. For those of you who might not be affiliated, who might not have known much about Lingugi, she was initially doing interviews. It was more like a podcast. You come, we sit down, we vibe, we talk. So this is a new thing that she's doing. She's going deep in the villages. There's this off-grid lifestyle where you go to another person's place. You see, majority of the people, they have been that rural to urban migration. Right now, we are talking about rural to rural migration. We are talking about urban to rural migration. And some of the people, one of the villages that fits that narrative, that ought to be featured in Lingui's current episodes, is Nyabuhanse. And that's exactly what she's doing. So one other person that fits in that story, like I'm trying to explain, is Mayuguno. And I'm giving examples and the reason as to why he fits in that narrative and that story way more compared to Gitiriba. And some of the examples I've given is that he has made a lot for himself. You don't just buy a Range Rover and expect not to have, you need some publicity here and there. And if there's a person who needed that publicity way more than Gitiriba, it's Mayuguno. Because Mayuguno would not let him down. So that's the reason as to why the trio, I believe, or in my own opinion, that's the reason as to why they were invited to come and be part of the team that is going to grace the event of the grand opening of that bridge. I was not invited, but I didn't have to be. But that are my reasons. Because all these three individuals, they already have something going for them. And throughout the projects they have been making, they have had their own personal experiences, which of course Lingugi hasn't uploaded any video. I hope that maybe she might upload one video today. I would love to watch one video from Nyabuhanse, but so that I can also hear what the Mayugnos, the Itsnastos, the Finding Eons, what they have to say about that village and everything that goes on. I would really love to hear their part of the story. And it would help me maybe to understand deeply, or it would have helped me in creating this video. Because right now I'm only dealing with the video that was uploaded by Mayuguno. Finding Ian hasn't uploaded, and I don't even know whether he has a video, I don't think they did an interview. At the end of the day, the story was about Nyabohanse and people who are currently residing in Nyabohanse. But I also don't know if they did an interview with its master. But I'm sure they did an interview with Mayuguno. But this video was not about who they did an interview with and who they did not do an interview with. This video was why was Finding Young, its master, and I Am Mayuguno included in that crew. Remember, all other YouTubers were not part of the itinerary. All other YouTubers were not allowed. That event was for invitees only. And when it's an invitees only, and someone like Gitiriba who has been a ride or die for I Am Marwa is not included, you get to ask questions. Whereas people who have betrayed him like Mayuguno, people who had been chased from that home like Finding Here, Daniel, the least information I have, I don't think he went to school, but his part, he's been included. Well, he's I Am Marwa's manager, of course. When you have a manager, the manager has to be included in these stories. And including him, it's like, and the young Moses, including these people, even if they're not going to say anything, even if they'll just stand there and watch, they are learning. Remember, guys, I've always told you, like, observation is one of the best data collection methods that you can ever have. So it's also important to include them. But as such, still, you kind of question, why is it that Gitiriba, I mean, I know a lot of people are questioning, like, why is that Gitiriba was not included? Why was he not included? Why? Why was he not included? And all those reasons that I've just explained may make sense to anybody who cares to listen, to anybody who might have watched these guys for quite some time. Again, I Am Marwa, I don't think he wants to contradict himself. 6 months expulsion means 6 months expulsion. This is the other beautiful thing about him not being invited. Maybe he will appreciate. Maybe he was taking things for granted. Maybe he felt being in the villa is a right to him. Well, as a friend, you don't necessarily ask questions. And guys, remember, someone like Minage, there's a content creator by the name Minage. Minage was introduced to I Am Marwa by Gitiriba. And Minage was given a free shout out at a time when I Am Marwa had nothing to do with content creators, and especially those who come from the village. He did not want anything to do with content creators for a reason. Because these guys will give them shout outs, and then when their YouTube channels start making it, they become bad people. So Minage was introduced to I Am Marwa by Gitiriba without any appointment, which tells you something. Like, Gitiriba was close, extremely close to Gitiriba. But he needs a lesson. He needs to learn something. Like, I wouldn't really say he takes everything for granted. I don't think he does. But even if he doesn't, maybe it's going to teach him something. You know, there's one statement that Dimwango loves to make. Dimwango respects that whoever belongs to Kograst's mom, she doesn't have to be entitled to it. Even though she's an heir, she has all the rights to claim. Dimwango appreciates that just because she has a room in Villa Magellan, that's her brother's residence. That's her brother's kingdom. She's not entitled entirely to that place. So she has to go and find something for herself. And that's why she's building. That's one of the reasons as to why she's building. And that's another reason so that she has her own kingdom. You see, if I have my own kingdom, it will be a little bit easier for another person to appreciate me. If I have my own car, and go and ask my friend to help me with his car, it's very easy for them to give me their car because they know that I have. They know that I will understand how to take care of another person's car if I have mine. It's the same thing. If this guy has built a house, if Gitiriba had built a house with that knowledge, right now, when you watch Gitiriba, he will tell you building a house is not that easy. So probably I and Marwa needed to invite guys who understand projects, who understand the weight of starting a project and finishing that project, making sure that they are seeing that project being carried out from the first stage to the last stage. He needed people who can resonate with the theme of the interview, with the narrative. And it's not just a narrative, it's a real story. So maybe Gitiriba needed a lesson there to understand that as a man, at some point, you're going to stand by yourself, you're going to stand alone. Maybe he needed that lesson as well. But as far as I'm concerned, I believe the factors that I have discussed in this discussion could have been part of the reason as to why Gitiriba was not included or was not invited in the party. If you have other reasons or you think otherwise, I don't mind you commenting below. I don't mind you having a thought that is different that of mine. There are guys I love, people who can have different thoughts. Just because you support me does not necessarily mean that you think the way I think. You can think differently and we can have candid conversation. You know, this comment section part of YouTube, it's not just a comment. It's a place where you can come and say something. Say it. It's a place where you can express yourself. And it's a very good place that you can come. Let's have a conversation. Let's engage each other. Whether you disagree or you agree. And with that, good people, have a good day, have a good night, have a good afternoon, have a good morning. And see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. See you later.